have you heard of Kiesza? And they're like, no. Have you heard of Hideaway? They're like, oh yeah, I love that song. It's funny because the song just like eclipsed everything else.
So you reached the height of the industry like so quick, but then you lost everything just as quick.
The car crash and a cab ran a red light and T-boned us. Okay, I don't think she's coming back from this. Life became nothingness. Felt like I was losing everything that took me a decade of my life to build. I needed to create a reality that was so opposite of the pain that I'm in that it was worth it.
I've got here in the studio with me Kiesza.
Hey!
Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I'm sure you probably know her debut single that came out in 2014, Hideaway.
People know the song way more than they know me. They thought I was
Really?
like some male DJ. Did not think that track was going to do anything because I had no following as a songwriter for other people.
Yeah.
And everything you hear was done in 90 minutes. As long as they're making money off their music and Hideaway generates, they don't want to drop you. It's like getting struck by lightning twice. Like, started to question whether I was coming back to music or not. And then there was a day when I just let it all go. That version of me really is just gone. Well, dancing and crying is the mood. What you're losing, you'll be finding because we're dancing and we're crying. Oh, yeah. This is
The first single.
This is the curtain opener. I know. Like, looking at the guitar there, like, I actually haven't practiced it, but I
Do you want to try it?
It's only, I just know you'll go alone.
Crying emoji, crying
Really, you got the
emoji.
first ever performance, even with myself, of that song.
That was not planned. Life Rhythms with Ryan Skyy. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
Are we looking at camera 3?
It could be, camera 3, any of them.
All right.
Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I am your host, Ryan Skyy. Adobe family, Life Rhythms family. I'm excited for my guest today. I've got here in the studio with me Kiesza.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I'm so happy that you're here.
Likewise.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but you were on the show like 4 years ago.
No, I remember.
Okay.
I remember because, well, we talked on Instagram too.
Yeah.
So, and then we were supposed to do it again. I don't know what happened. And now here we are.
But it's amazing because you are literally episode 6 of the podcast.
Oh, so I'm like one of the, and that's so weird.
And it was before we were video, so it's only audio. And it was during the pandemic, so it was all virtual, remember?
Wow, so this is like, that was like beta version.
Yeah.
And now it's like this crazy.
Look at it now.
Wow, look at this now.
Yeah.
And 6 is the number of my, like, this new project. You'll see 6 a lot. There's 6 songs on every volume. And it's a number that I chose. So that's kind of cool that I was number 6 on your podcast.
Yes, and now we're in like the 50s, episode 50
That's
something.
amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to fill everybody in on you. I want us all on the same page because your story is so fascinating to me. We have to tell the story and share your music. For those of you, most of you probably know Kiesza. For those of you who don't know Kiesza, I'm sure you probably know her debut single that came out in 2014, Hideaway. I'm going to play a little clip of it just to refresh your mind. It goes like this.
You're just a chance I take to keep on dreaming. You're just another day that keeps me breathing. Baby, I love the way that there's something short. Baby, don't stop me. Hide away with me some more.
So good. Never gets old.
It's funny how many people are like, have you heard of Kiesza? And they're like, no. Have you heard of Hideaway? They're like, oh yeah, I love that song.
That's why I wanted to play this because people know that song.
Yeah.
Obviously.
People know the song way more than they know me. It's kind of hilarious.
It's interesting.
Yeah. I was at the bank yesterday, actually, like pulling out some cash and like sitting with the teller, and some guy like kept looking. And he's like, are you that girl? I was like, what girl? He's
You're like, I'm that girl.
the girl with the red hair. I'm like, yeah, like the girl with the red hair who dances down the street. I was like, yeah. He's like, to that song Hideaway? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what's your name?
Oh my God.
It's funny because the song just like eclipsed everything else.
Yeah.
And the video itself, and people actually, when the song first came out, they actually didn't think the person dancing in the song was the person singing. They thought I was
Really?
like some male DJ, because like that style of music is very predominantly
like Disclosure
monopolized,
and
by like male DJs.
Yeah.
They like, and honestly, it's never really been artist driven.
Yeah.
I don't think
It's a very UK sound.
Yeah, well, it's a UK kind of like hybrid.
UK pop, dance pop. Well, because dance is mainstream and it's top 40 in the UK.
It was definitely, I was like vibing with all
Deep house
the
vibes.
deep house UK tracks.
Yeah.
But the producer, Rami, who made it, had never done a house track before. He's a hip hop producer.
Wild.
And I had never made a house track before. And we're like, so you can tell it sounds kind of like UK, but also doesn't sound like the stuff there because we're coming at it from not knowing how to make house music.
Yeah, well, it's kind
of
of
very fresh, like and also that like ka 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 ka
yeah.
House fans are really pissed off about that because that's something you find in EDM a lot, and they're like, that's not real house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, we're like, I'm sorry, this is our first track. But then I honestly like did not think that track was gonna do anything because I had no following as a songwriter for other people. And like I could have pitched that. Like there's people who definitely wanted to pitch it, but it just, thankfully, you know, the gut feeling, you follow your gut feeling. I had a gut feeling that I should probably do this song. It felt something, which I think everyone else felt.
And you wrote it in 90 minutes. And
no. I wrote it in probably like 10 minutes, but the track start to finish. Everything you hear was done in 90 minutes.
Because you were going to catch a flight.
Yeah, and literally I was racing to this flight and the music pulled me in and I was like...
You were like leaving the studio and he started making a beat.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And okay, let me do it really fast. And then just threw it down as fast as I could. And I was like literally writing the lyrics. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do as fast as I can so I can put down a demo and then I'll fix the lyrics later.
Yeah.
No thought. Like just like, let's do this. And then I heard it and I was like, I kind of like these lyrics.
Yeah.
And then I was like, kind of like, I didn't even like the vocal take I did. It's kind of good.
That happens so often where you get the demo and ends up being what we go with.
Yeah.
There's just something magical about it where you're like...
It's the roughness and the lack of like trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that carries through in everything. Like the music video has that with it as well. Like I, again, had like no budget. So I was like borrowing some funds from friends and just asking anyone I knew if they could come out this one day that... It was like the day that most people were available. So if that day didn't work, we couldn't have done it with those same people again. Like, it would have been different people.
Yeah.
And we only had one rehearsal with every individual group, and we had to throw it all together on the day. And like so many things went wrong. Like you can look at this little Easter eggs. There's like a big giant orange X on the street where I meant to take it off and just forgot. It was like, stop here in the rehearsal just to remind me. And then
You just left it
totally forgot to take it off. So it's like, you see all that stuff.
This episode is brought to you by Mixillery.com. I'm excited to have Mixillery on as a sponsor personally because Mixillery is a platform that you can use to find and hire someone to remix your song. And why that's so important is because anybody can go online and you can search music producers, you can search for remixers, you can hire somebody, but it's like, how much do you pay them and who should you hire and what genre should you choose? And with option overload, it can be a little overwhelming to figure out what's the best use of your money. Because what it comes down to is remixes are marketing tools. A remix of a record will get that record in front of a larger audience. It will get that record played in venues and areas like the gym or a club or a car or a fitness studio, places that maybe your original song may not be appropriate for. So it is an important marketing tool, but then who remixes it is important because first of all, the quality of the remix, and also maybe they have their own audience that's going to discover this remix. Maybe they have a following. Maybe they have a radio show. Maybe they tour and they'll be playing it out live. These are all sorts of things that are important. So Mixillery is a service that will help match you with the best remixer for your budget. So check out Mixillery.com for more information on this. When you say about how the producer never made a house beat before, I immediately thought about like Max Martin when he was first starting out, and they thought they were trying to make R&B music. When they were doing like Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time, they thought they were they were trying to attempt to make R&B music, but they were coming from their Swedish perspective, and they ended up making
just like the catchiest melodies ever.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're all born with this magical ability to make the world's catchiest melodies.
Yeah, but like same thing with you guys. It's like you had never made that style before.
Exactly.
And you end up coming up with something fresh because you just have your own.
I think if you go into a new style, and make it your own, you can definitely stand out. There's this weird ignorance and being a little naive to a new style kind of forces it to become something different.
Yeah.
And then once you master it, you kind of become the same a little bit. So it's good to come in like with complete curiosity and like.
Yeah.
yeah, just trying things out. It doesn't always work, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of doing that again with this new project. I was just like, what happens if I put house together with all my songwriting, like singer-songwriter music?
Yeah.
Will that even work? And there's some songs that I wanted it to work so badly, because I have this one song I've been wanting to put out for years, and it's so folky that it's like confusing. And I'm like, well, I'm like, well, will it be too confusing? It's like acquired. You can't even really pick out my voice. And it's one of my favorite songs, and we tried it and it just didn't work. But I'm like, now that my singer-songwriter stuff is getting fused with the house music, I think it does make sense, because people now are seeing this side of me, which just they didn't know before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean into it. I mean, again, like this journey of trying new things led me to start yodeling.
What?
And
Amazing.
So on the next volume, there's a track where I'm like literally not like I think yodelers would be like, that's not yodeling, but it's me, giving it a shot.
It's your yodel.
But it kind of really worked out for the song.
Well, it's like Leanne Rimes did like a yodel in Blue. And I'm sure that's not. I'm sure that's not like a perfect yodel or something, but it's her, and it's iconic, and it sounds.
I remember being a kid and like not being able to do that and being really frustrated, because I loved that song.
Yeah.
My mom was obsessed with Leanne Rimes, and so I heard Leanne Rimes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom had a big influence on me, because she drove me everywhere to like ballet class and everywhere. So she would just play her music, and yeah, Leanne Rimes was there. Barbra Streisand, a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, I actually performed for Barbra Streisand by accident one time.
Yeah.
And it was the most terrifying moment of my life.
I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah. It was a private party. I can't say whose it was. It's someone who's like very famous, but is a big fan of mine, and had me out to perform Hideaway, and ended up having to do it multiple times because they like the song so much. But I walk out into just this house party, and in the middle of the audience is Barbra Streisand, and like for me, she's like the epitome of vocalist. Like,
yeah.
She was a perfectionist. I know she thought about every syllable, every word, how she was going to do it, what's the emotion.
Every moment, yeah.
And I know it was painful for a lot of people in the process, because she wanted it to be just right, but it came out like a masterful, creation. So and my mom was obsessed with Barbra Streisand. And so I heard her a lot growing up. So when I look in the audience and she's there, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I hope I'm singing good, and like
yeah.
like,
how was it? How did it go?
Like the me who's like self-conscious started coming up, and I was like, there was a lot of other big celebrities as well, but it didn't matter. Like, I was like Barbara. I was judging myself in the presence of Barbra Streisand. I have to say.
Oh my gosh! But once you survive that, then you can probably.
She nodded though. She gave me like a. Yeah.
And she doesn't give I'm sure she doesn't give it away that easy. Like, I'm sure she's, you know what I mean? I'm sure she's just genuine about it.
She's probably just like, that was a nice attempt.
No.
No. No. I think she's phenomenal. So
yeah.
No, that was cool though, to sing Hideaway for Barbra Streisand.
That's so wild. You have such a you've had such an interesting life already. We had said how we connected in 2020, and you were on the show, and I've been following you on social media, and I'm seeing you're like in Norway, and I want to talk about your time with the kids over there, and that experience. And then I see you're like you're spending time on a train singing Christmas carols, right?
Yes.
But like the most wild thing to me that we haven't even got to yet is I want to explain to people like your story about what happened after Hideaway.
The car crash.
Yes. Yeah, because I know you've talked about it on a lot of interviews, but not everybody listening right now knows the story. Yeah. And it's probably the reason why people know the song so well, but they don't necessarily know you, is because you flashed onto the scene with Hideaway, a billion streams. You reached the height of the industry like so quick, but then you lost everything just as quick.
Yeah, it was like a firefly moment. And I lost it in just as dramatic of a way as I gained it.
Yeah.
Like, I did put in all the work to get to where I was when Hideaway blew up, but at the same time, it was like, they say like when something happens overnight, people forget there was like a decade of work behind it. There was that, and it did happen overnight. Like it sort of was both. but I was ready, I was like ready for that moment, and I was ready to just seize the day. And there's another, I forget who said it, but somebody else said that's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being ready in the right place at the right time when that time comes. And I felt like, okay, I'm ready for this. So I was really like just in my element, and despite the industry being so challenging to navigate, that was my hardest part, was that I didn't realize how much the industry was going to block every idea that I brought forth. Whereas like when you're not in the industry, you're just full creative, you're not thinking about the business aspect, you're thinking about the vision. So it's a very pure time in a lot of artists' lives. That's why you hear like a lot of the early music of artists, they're just not being judged yet, and they're not being told what to do by people who actually don't know what to do.
The pressure isn't there also.
But anyways, I felt very confident as a performer, so I was really embracing the live stage, and I was doing really well at that, and my shows were growing, and right when I was like hitting headliner at the festivals, that's when it happened. And it was right in the midst of writing the next album too. So I was like thinking, because I was researching concussions, we got T-boned. For those of you who don't know, I was in an Uber in the back seat, and a cab ran a red light and T-boned us. And so I sustained 2 points of contact on the right side of my brain and on the left side. So the left side, where it hits by my ear, is what messed up my balance. So that was one thing I lost, was my ability to balance on my left foot. Which, as a dancer, that's just
everything
detrimental. And then I lost the ability to, my reading got messed up. I could see a word, I could spell a word, I couldn't interpret a full sentence necessarily without going over it like 5 times. And then by the time I did that, my head would swell up. It was crazy. But I could like write out a sentence. It's weird how many functions go into the simplest tasks. Because like you think like, how can you write a sentence but you can't necessarily read it? It's so, because it's a totally different, it's taking it in, it's processing it, it's looking at every symbol. What is a W? What is the word what? What is the word what in the context of the sentence? There's so much computing going on in our brains. And for a brain that's swollen and doesn't want to do anything and just wants to heal, and it just like, it shuts a lot of mechanisms off, and it shuts off, I think, the ones that take the most computing power, because they just, it's like, it's too much. It's like when you break your leg, you can't go run a marathon. It's just, you got to stop. So with your brain, it's like, stop doing things that take away from my healing process. But that meant stop everything for me.
And also too, the injury was sudden, but you didn't know for a while, right? Because it got worse and worse over the course of a year or so afterwards, right?
It kicked in pretty fast. Like some things, like my balance was very much like kicked in fast. I started losing my balance fast, started getting headaches fast, but I got worse for a year and a half. So I got progressively. So it was bad and then it got worse, which you're supposed to get kind of worse for maybe 3 months, or even it goes away in 3 months and gets better. It's not supposed to get worse for a year and a half. But what was going on was no one caught that my lower spine had some issues as well in the crash. So everyone was focused on my head and my neck, whiplash. I actually got something weird, and I don't even know what it's called. I forgot, but a spinal rehabilitation person later. It's a whole story. It's a crazy story if you want to hear it, because it's how I named my record label, Zebra Spirit Tribe.
Did you, like, what were the negative effects of the crash? Like, did your label drop you?
No,
or were they just waiting around for
I worked
recovery?
really hard to be dropped by the label even before the crash.
Okay.
Because I'm like, there's different types of artists, and this is where I've arrived at, because I was very upset at my label before.
Okay.
But then I forgot that they're just a corporate company trying to make money at the end of the day. And so if you like look at them in the context of just any business, they're just looking to make money as fast as they can. And that's it.
They're a bank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no more to a label than that. They're not trying to build culture.
They're
not.
They're literally a bank.
They're kind of gambling and like trying to get the next spark of lightning.
Yes.
Who will build culture, but they're not doing it. That's not their interest. It is my interest. My interest is community, culture building, what I have to give to my audience, what their experience is, and being a person who does take steps to move artistically move forward into new territory, because it inspires others to do the same. We have to do that for others to follow in that path. The second that one person jumps off a cliff, the others are like, oh, that worked out pretty good. She didn't die, landed in the water. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just takes that one crazy person to do something crazy, and then the rest are like, okay, I'm down. So I kind of always wanted to be that, like, slightly crazy, not like to the extreme of
high functioning crazy.
insanity, but yeah, high functioning crazy.
Yeah.
Like 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, create a little bridge. Let's go. Let's take risks.
Yeah.
No, that does not work on a label.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you have something that works, do that forever and never change.
Right.
And if you change, and if it stops working, we'll just put you here on a shelf and you'll just stay there forever. Like, they don't want you, like, the reality is as long as they're making money off their music and Hideaway generates, they don't want to drop you. So they didn't want me to move forward into change. They just kind of wanted to,
milk what
they
was
wanted
working.
to milk Hideaway.
Yeah.
And again, from a business perspective, I get it. They had like other artists, big artists, Shawn Mendes and stuff that were really focused on. So I realized that there's personalities that fit the label mold, and there's personalities that should be independent for life.
Yeah,
and you have
that
to
makes sense.
You have to know which one you are, because they really are two different breeds.
Yeah.
And so if you are the person that wants to take risks and wants to is okay with failure and mistakes, because you have to go out into the world and make mistakes to push culture forward. Not everyone wants to be that person, right? Like the Bob Dylan getting booed off the stage with an electric guitar. Even I heard of Avicii got booed off the stage when he did his folk hybrid.
Yeah, when he first did it.
Yeah,
They
so
booed him at Ultra.
If you don't want to be the person getting booed off the stage for trying something new, you're not that person. That's okay. You don't have to be that person. You can like follow trends, and then there's like the label is just like very much like as current as it gets, move as fast as you can. And a lot of artists on major labels don't necessarily write the songs. They say they do, but they don't. I'm just saying, because I support songwriters.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
just because they have the credit, that doesn't mean they wrote it.
Their team negotiated them the credit, but that doesn't mean they actually
Exactly.
contributed to the song.
Yeah, but they're great singers, and I think we should normalize singers being just singers. You don't have
and also
to
having
write.
a great ear. Like Rihanna is really good at choosing songs. She doesn't write her songs.
She's insane at choosing songs.
You know what I'm saying?
And she's okay.
But
with
honestly,
it,
like
yeah.
Jessie J has an incredible voice, but I don't think she's as good at choosing songs.
Well, she
for
also,
her.
but like, not everyone's in the same position to be able. Like some artists,
Yeah.
I've talked to artists and they're like signed a contract that they actually can't choose the songs they sing.
Okay.
I don't
okay.
know what her situation is, but
Okay. Maybe she doesn't have the autonomy like Rihanna did.
they're so different too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Rihanna and Jessie J are like, you can't even really
I love Jessie J's voice, and I'm always like rooting for her. Like, come on, we got to get some good singles. I just don't love the songs that they've put out for her. Personally.
Well,
and I feel like she deserves more. She does, like Rita Ora knocks it out of the park. She's had a lot of really good singles.
I love Rita Ora. We've been actually like talking lately.
Yeah?
Yeah, we
Oh.
we like the same. There's a deep side that we both connect on, musically and artistically. So
She's been through a lot. She has quite the story too.
she has, because she went through as an artist signed, I think, like very much young.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you sign contracts that usually, and I don't know her contracts, usually you sign contracts that take away most of your creative control.
Yeah.
I think that's why labels focus on younger people as well, because they'll sign anything, literally, even if their parents or their lawyer tells them not to.
Mhm.
They don't realize what they're going into yet.
Yeah.
And then there's artists like Shawn Mendes is a great example of an artist that built his own kingdom basically on Vine. He already had millions of followers, and like the first single that went out went viral. It would have gone with or without a label. It would have charted the same because it was his existing audience that did it. So then you're in a position of like more negotiating power, and
Yeah.
so it puts you in a better position. But if you don't have any negotiating power, you're just going to sign a terrible contract. So I don't know. I just like to support, especially women. Like I just like, I'm like such a supporter of like freedom, creative freedom, and I think that's what's lacking in the business side of the industry.
Yeah.
Like Phantom of the Dance Floor. Did you hear that song that I put out?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. So I did it with Stuart Price. He did Confessions on the Dance Floor
Yeah.
by Madonna.
Yeah,
For Madonna. The whole album.
Yeah.
You know? And we got together and we just like clicked so hard in the studio. And we're just like two ridiculously like artistic people like, let's make a theatric opera dance like album. And we went crazy. And Phantom of the Dance Floor, it was like campy horror mixed with like dance house.
Okay.
We're like an opera singer. I have a baritone opera singer on this track.
Oh, wow. Can I play some of it?
Yeah,
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah. It's on YouTube. I'm literally it's my version of Frankenstein. Like the opera singer is the Frankenstein monster. I'm Dr. Frankenstein, bringing him to life.
Oh my God! I'm looking at the thumbnail. It looks so fantastic, so theatrical. I love it. All right, all right.
Hello! I'm glad you finally arrived. Have you ever wanted to know what it's like to be in love, but really in love? Well, it just so happens I have this book.
Little intro.
I found it at a bus stop, and it is full of information about love. So gather around and take a look.
There's a little intro.
Yeah. Okay. Is this where it starts?
It's coming.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
You want me to fast
it's
forward?
a horror movie. I mean, it's up to you. You can always edit for it if
That's
you need
true.
to.
That's true. I mean, we have time.
I built this whole set, by the way, by myself with my bare hands. It took me a month.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
The cinematography. Oh my God, the set.
Yeah.
It's like American Horror Story.
I hand built the set. I have to really
It
plug
looks
myself.
expensive. Wow.
Turn around and meet me face to face. I feel you everywhere, and I can almost taste the rhythm of your heart, the salt of your embrace. If you come back to me, then I will live again. I still feel your magic move my soul, give you control. You bring me home. The way my body moves, make you so smooth.
This is like classic Kiesza. A lot of iconic.
This is me.
Yeah.
When my feet start dancing off the wall, I'm not alone.
Wow.
Yours forevermore, the phantom of the dance floor.
Ooh. Oh, that's so
Like a
fun.
TikTok moment.
Yeah. This is so fun.
Okay, now come in.
What?
Enter baritone opera singer.
Okay.
Get ready.
Close my eyes and I remember
Phil Sly.
Wow.
wish you would move in me the way you used to do. I cannot dance alone.
This is awesome.
And no
Yeah, you should
one
definitely
else will do.
take your time and spend time. So the follow-up to this was Sensium.
I hope you write a musical someday.
I did already.
Okay,
It's
good.
actually finished.
Good. Good.
I just don't know how to put it out. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah, you need to be putting out musicals like.
It's more like I definitely, if I wasn't doing all of this, I could definitely take my time and focus on all of that.
Yeah.
But it's a whole process. Like a musical's
Yeah.
very intense. I will get to the musical. It's so awesome. It's actually after the podcast I can play you a song.
Okay.
But it's really fun. You're like, you should do this. I'm like, I already done it.
Yeah, good,
It's just
good.
not out yet.
Good,
In my
good.
Dropbox.
Good.
We even have it voice audio recorded, the whole script.
Wow. Good.
You can sit and listen to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love theater. I grew up as a theater kid.
Me too.
Nice. High five.
Yeah.
But I just like fun stuff. You know, I love campy horror. I don't like scary horror. I like campy, funny horror, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know,
Yeah.
it has a bit of that campiness to it. So there's a follow-up to this one, Sensium Defectui, where I'm playing Dracula.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be this Halloween kind of, not Halloween series, but just like horror movie series to theatrical dance music that I also did alongside the other stuff. So I brought this to my label. and they literally said just no. Like, if my label had their way, it would have never came out. So I had to go, and I was like, you know what, screw you, I'm doing it with or without you. So I went and paid the whole thing myself, built the set with my bare hands. I like went to a warehouse and negotiated to have like a corner of their section that hadn't been like built into a bathroom yet. If I was like, can I just build a set in here before you build a bathroom? I don't even know how I found this place. And then I literally closed off to the whole world and built a set for a month.
Wow. And
like, I remember like ordering, I woke up in the middle of the night one night and I was like, I need organs, human organs. and I like ordered them, and then I forgot I had ordered them. And one day I got this box and I opened it up and I screamed because they look real. I was like, ah!
Organs!
I was like, there's a brain. And then I was like, oh, I must have ordered this for the Phantom of the dance floor.
Oh, you forgot. Yeah.
So you can see the brain in there. And yeah. So, I mean, listen, I'm a weirdo and I like to have fun. I love getting my friends involved.
Yeah.
In all the stuff I'm doing. So the music video. So now that I'm independent and I'm like, fast forward.
When did you become independent? How soon after the accident?
You know, is the accident, the one silver lining is that people thought I was done for.
Yeah.
Like, it was really like, okay, I don't think she's coming back from this.
But what did you go through? You must have gone through a crazy roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, yeah. It was, I can't even really describe to you what it was like, because first of all, I was stuck with myself all the time.
Uh-huh.
Which just that alone is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And not being able to actually do anything.
Yeah.
On top of that, I had the sensation that I was being punched in the skull from the inside every 3 seconds. That was to do with, as it got progressively worse, there was this intense pressure and it really felt like someone was just punching me in the skull. And that had to do with my lower spine. Okay. Which, when they corrected it, that stopped. So we found out my spinal fluid was actually backing up into my brain.
Wow.
Because of a situation going on in my lower spine. On top of that, I developed a condition called suicide headaches.
Okay.
Which is another form of headache that was behind my left eye. That feels like someone shoots you in the head 4 times a day. It's insane. So I kept getting like layers on top of layers on top of layers, and I couldn't do anything. I even just sort of thinking complex would make my brain swell. Reading would make my brain swell. So listening to loud music, I couldn't do that. I could barely do anything so my life became nothingness. Yeah. And anytime I tried to do anything, if I did anything, I was in excruciating pain. So the pain layer itself can drive you insane. So I had to do all this pain management and be stuck with myself psychologically. So it was actually really hard to even think about the fact that my career was just gone. Because that itself was so secondary to the experience I was having.
I was wondering, like, did you feel like it was being wasted, the opportunity was being wasted because you had achieved this success? Or were you kind of...
Yeah, I felt like I was losing everything that took me a decade of my life to build. And I was very aware that something like Hideaway and the way that it kind of shot up so fast, it's like getting struck by lightning twice. Like, it doesn't usually happen in that way. And it scared me because I was like, I'm going to have to build back all this momentum. But as time went by, I actually realized that I wasn't getting better as fast as I thought. And so I started to question whether I was coming back to music or not. And then there was a day when I just let it all go. I just surrendered to the fact that I might never come back. I have no idea. I just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But what I did know is I needed to heal. And that became my focus.
So you had to kind of let go of that old version of yourself?
Totally. It was like being at my own funeral and I was the only one there.
Like grieving the old you?
Yeah, and that person never really came back. Yeah. Because from everything I went through internally, I really shifted who I was. And I think I've become a stronger person in many ways. So that version of me really is just gone.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But it sounds like the Buddhist teachings of surrender and accepting what is. What kind of spiritual experience was this for you? Was it?
It was a lot of that. When I read like Tao Te Ching and Buddhism, and I've read a lot of, now I'm going through a lot of philosophers and just trying to understand the growth that I went through without realizing it.
Yeah.
And it's so in line with a lot of that. Like when you do just sort of surrender, honestly, if you just do nothing, you will do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned. Your body actually has its own.
Say that again. If you do nothing, you'll do the right thing?
Yeah, you just will. Like, it sounds weird and it sounds like it doesn't make sense, but we actually do. Our body will just get up and move in the right direction unconsciously.
Okay.
It's like you're not telling your arm to move, it's moving.
Yeah.
You move it to what you want, but it's also, you're not instructing it to do that. It follows your intuition. Your body also knows it knows your purpose. So it will always move in the direction of your purpose.
Wow.
Instinctively, without your thoughts.
Yeah.
So the moment you remove this layer of thoughts and don't try to think your way through everything, your body and your whole, just everything that is you in this context of reality will start moving in the direction that it was meant to move.
Yeah.
And so you'll get up and go in a direction for no reason, and you'll bump into the right person that you're meant to meet. And then like it gets to a point where it gets out, like you're like low key, like, is this a simulation game we're playing? Because that's weird. Like things just start almost downloading into your reality that make no sense.
Yeah.
And you're like, the coincidences, you're like, only once in a trillion would this happen, but it did. And okay, so why and how come it's multiple things like this are happening? So it's like probability starts orchestrating around you so that you can move towards your purpose. And you just have to, it's like full trust. I call it the feather. Like you have to be a feather. You have to just have trust that you will do the right thing, and you will.
Yeah.
When you get instincts, like gut instincts, you just gotta follow those.
Yes.
Even if it makes no sense to your brain, because your brain is just a calculator. It's just literally calculating fear. It's just trying to keep you from dying. It's actually a little like a shield. It's a little knight. It's like, hey,
A lot of people don't realize like our gut instincts developed long before we could even speak any language.
Yeah, exactly.
We only were going off of our feelings in our gut because we had no other way to communicate. It's so primal.
Yeah. And like our version of reality, just like, what is my purpose? And often people think their purpose is their job, right? Back in the days when there was no job, you're just out in the wilderness surviving, and that is where our DNA comes from. What would your purpose be out in the wild?
Yeah, survival.
It's the purpose is to the group, the community. It's to the community.
Yeah.
It's not even to yourself. It's to the whole. It's to the species, right? So it's to the well-being of your ecosystem, essentially. And so I find our purposes do end up leading us towards giving to the whole.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what are we giving to the whole? And it's not like necessarily like, it's not like, okay, I don't have to do music to give the same thing as I would through like painting or something else. It's what we are giving. It's more like what we are giving of ourselves from the pure source that drives us to others. And how do we open them up to be able to, I guess, give in the same way?
And you tapped into that in Norway.
Norway was basically me creating a blank slate.
Yeah, and I want to say before we get into that, because I was just thinking, I want to add this about the DNA. Because are you familiar with the epigenetics? Yeah. And I just want to say, like, with you, I think it's such a cool, beautiful example of, like, I don't know if people realize that we all have our genes, but it's about the expression of our genes.
Yeah.
And scientists have found that literally if we go through hardship, it turns on our parts of our genes. So like the more hardship we go through, the more of our potential is actually turned on. And I feel like your story is so beautiful because what you went through, it's actually turning on more and more parts of who you are are coming online.
As long as you're able to have a communication with that side of yourself that's been through the trauma.
Okay.
Because a lot of people just shut themselves down.
Yeah.
So if you think of it as like ancestrally, if we're like receiving the life information of our ancestors from like thousands of generations back, and we have access to this. I think back in the day, I think people experienced even more trauma than they do now. But I think it triggers or opens up this window to another life that comes before you that has all this information.
Yes.
and you gain access to that
Yes.
in a weird way. It
Yes.
like opens up this door, and you're
Yeah.
actually receiving from someone else in a weird, creepy way. It's like
Yeah.
we are all one another in that sense.
Yeah.
You can all trace this back to the same like 5,000 people.
Even like you and I, you have blue eyes, right?
yeah, it's all one person.
We all come from one person.
that
The blue
yeah,
eye- the
as
first
far as
person
we
that-
know.
Yeah, the first person that had the blue eye, what is it called? Where it's like a diversion of
The like mutation.
Yeah, mutation.
the gene
Yeah,
mutation.
the mutation.
So we're like one. We can be traced back to the exact same being.
Yeah.
So maybe we come with the same information through our eyes. Like, who knows how this all works?
Yeah.
But trauma definitely opens you up to more information. But how you deal with yourself in the presence of that trauma is very important. And remaining calm, like having your center, because you can get triggered. Like trauma can trigger you in such ways that you actually shut down. You close more doors, you close more
Yes.
windows, and people don't want to be around you. Your impulse control gets out of hand, and so it's really like our relationship to ourselves is the most important one we have in this world, because that really determines our relationship with everyone else. So, I mean, that became my focus. Is just like I also lost my impulse control went really wacky. I literally on a brain scan, they're like, you have none. And that was to do with there wasn't the communication between the two hemispheres wasn't communicating properly. We could see in a neural feedback scan, which they scan the electrical currents of your brain. There was just a disruption in the communication in a certain area that caused my brain to not be able to handle impulse control, which means I might not make the right decision in the moment because my impulse is driving me.
Yeah.
And that's a whole brain thing.
Yes.
But then I had to start remastering that, and it's not something I've ever had to consciously do, but I had to consciously master my impulse control, and I'm still working on that. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm working on mine too.
Yeah, I know. So, and that's kind of cool because like when you don't have it drives you towards taking more risks. So I think I've actually become more of an artist, but I've also gained a lot more control over this machine, I guess, which is my body.
Yeah. You've had some superpowers turning on, because I in a previous interview I heard you talking about how you went to Norway and you were teaching the kids there in a program.
Yeah.
And the way that they kind of asked you to do a performance class, it was unexpected, and you just kind of dove in with these kids, and you were able to. What really struck me was that you were able to see in them right away trauma and like where it was in their body, and you were helping like unlock them. But then also, I've also heard you talk about how when you were in the Navy, and your first shot was like
my best shot.
was like a crazy good shot.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, there's a through line there. The Kiesza that was like sitting there with the rifle and taking her first shot, that was able to see and aim and shoot and like everything that goes in that, but then also years later she's helping these kids and she's able to see things in them, and like
that's interesting.
I see some kind of like through line there, and I feel
like puncturing their ego.
But just you have the ability to see in a way, and it's coming more and more online as you go through these life experiences, and you're able to like help other people.
I can really map the disconnection to the self in the physical body. I can just see where the disruption, because again, everything's connected, right? So our mind, body, and soul are all operating in sync with each other. So when one thing is out of sync in any one of those, it shows up in everything else. So you can see on the physical body where there's disruptions with the mind and the soul. And so by focusing on that area that's stuck, it really looks like it's stuck, it's locked, they can't access it. It comes out as a leak, an energy leak. You see a lot of singers do this hand thing. That's actually an energy leak in their system. Their arm is actually disconnected from their body. If you look at it from a synchronized perspective. So what I have to do is I have to actually focus on that limb first, and I have to reconnect it to the whole. The second the arm reconnects to the whole, they actually connect to themselves in a psychological or in a soul way.
Yeah.
And their performance instantly levels up with nothing being taught. That's the crazy thing, is I actually don't teach. I just help connect.
Yeah.
Because the second they're fully connected to themselves, it's always the most captivating performance you can possibly see.
Even just standing there.
Even just standing
still.
there, doing nothing. Like I've had a student that was an incredible dancer, dancing full out, but the audience was like, even like sitting there being like, wow, she's an amazing dancer,
Yeah.
but not feeling connected to her. And that had everything to do with her connection to herself. So I had her stop, sit down, fold her arms and legs, and turn around and not face the audience. She couldn't, even her eyes, because she even, the moment I took away her body, she still performed with her eyes and her face. So I had to take away her whole face and her eye contact.
I need to take away your face.
Yeah. So I turned her around and she started singing the song with not being able to do anything. And within about 10 seconds, people in the audience started crying.
Wow.
Because she was actually so purposefully disconnecting and using her performance as a shield from what she was really feeling and what she really wanted to express, that she was like, she was using it to actually disconnect from herself.
Create distance between her to feel safe.
And control her audience through it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have you watch me, but I'm never going to let you in. But I'm going to give you the sensation that I'm letting you in. But you really can't lie. Like, there's no lying in this world. As much as we think there is, as far as reality is concerned, we can't lie.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that we think we're in control of with lying is just, it's not even real in the first place. Like, but I think that was a really important moment for that student. And she struggled to come to do it again. Like, she struggled to even come to that class again after, because now she actually had connected to something really deep. And,
yes.
But now she's on that journey. Like, that was all she needed. Like, she has that now. She realizes it's there. She knows that power she has within herself. She knows she can move an audience to tears within 10 seconds of singing. So now she has to just go decide if she's ready to like unlock that even more. And so every student is so different that I work with, because I have to really like, first I have to basically receive them as a whole. And then I don't think I just start moving and yeah, I want to do it more. I actually want to build my own program at some point.
You absolutely should.
I love going. I'm going to definitely keep going out there.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, I got to this point where I'm like so happy in Norway in this cabin. And I got to a point where I just didn't even have Wi-Fi in my cabin. I was just like, you were
off grid. Yeah.
I like being off grid completely.
I noticed.
And I was just in the snow and like rolling around in the trees, and it was wonderful. And it wasn't overwhelming the amount that I worked with the students. Like, they gave me a lot of space and time, and I was like, I could do this forever. At the same time, I had this burning sensation that I had a lot more to give to the world.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was in also a very lucky place, because as much as Hideaway did connect me to the world, people were disconnected from me.
Yeah.
They were very connected to this personality that they saw performing.
Yes.
And they wanted that. They wanted the girl with the mohawk just like running around dancing everywhere.
The Brooklyn vibes. And
they kind of wanted the shell.
Yeah.
But because I went away for a while and people were wondering why, and then they started hearing my story, it actually opened my audience up to me more, because they wanted to know what happened.
Yeah.
So then it started being like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And so there's this openness now that I didn't have before. And I realized that like, that's the most important thing, is our connection that we have to each other. And I want to keep that. And I don't want to be in personality.
Yeah.
I want to just be me. And so what does that look like in music? Because I love dancing. That's real. That's me. I love dressing up. That's me. I love telling stories and narrative, and I like acting for fun, so theater kid, right?
Yeah.
So I want to do some element of that. So that's why if you look in the music videos, there's a whole story and narrative, and it's like a little movie series.
Yeah.
That's just me wanting to play dress up. I want the folk and the storytelling, and I want to connect deeper, and I want to take dance music into a more emotional and like artist driven space.
Yes.
And like, there's a lot. So, and like, honestly, some of the songs that aren't even out yet are like rock infused. Like,
you on the new album?
Well, so not this. So they're all,
because I want to get into this too.
So it's actually volumes. This way, there are only 6 songs each.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's more than one. There's multiple, and they're already all in progress. Like, I already know the last song on the last volume. I foresee 4.
Okay.
So I'm working on 24 dance tracks.
Yes.
but they take different journeys, and I already have the last song of the last one picked out. And so there's gaps. I'm still writing them, but I know where each one belongs when it's written. And so the one that's going to come up, well, we'll keep it on the first volume.
Yeah.
But so it's a little more
And it's Dancing and Crying Volume 1 is what we're
Dancing
featuring
and
today.
Crying Volume 1.
Are they all going to be Dancing and Crying?
It's all Dancing and Crying.
Okay.
So, but this is Volume 1. I'm in this place in my life where I don't like to put an end on things because I'm just beginning again.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to, I love this fusion of house and folk, but I also, I mean, it's not just house and folk, but there's a lot of that. Like I Go Dance there's no folk in that, you know? But I like whatever's happening. I really like it. And I feel like I'm just starting in this. So I don't want to just have a beginning and an end. I want it to be able to keep going. So if like Dancing and Crying 5 comes along, I'll just add it on, you know?
Yeah.
It's more like a river, a current than anything. And I also like the fact that me being a creator and also someone who has so many sides, I can create these little streams that if someone loves the Dancing and Crying music, they know that more is going to come.
Yeah.
But if someone just likes my folk singer-songwriter, then that will have its own stream. And then I have literal like R&B music that's sitting in my Dropbox that I love. And people have heard a little bit of that in the first album, but that might have its own stream too. And they're literally different expressions of me, and they're like different moods that I get into. They don't always go together because someone's like, I love this song, and another person's like, I love that song, but they'll put this song on this playlist with other songs like that. So I have a lot of those. So I'm like, I just want to put them together so you can turn on a whole mood and get into that.
What mood would you describe this Volume 1?
Well, Dancing and Crying is the mood. It's like, Dancing and Crying art's so different. If you really look at them, they're connecting with a very honest side of yourself. When you really let loose and just dance without your thoughts involved, you become so connected to yourself, your physical body.
Yeah.
And you forget everyone around you. You become so present in the moment. And your dancing is you. It's your honest expression. It's as a physical expression. And crying is similar. Like, we often don't cry until we do, and when we suddenly let ourselves cry, it's because it's a release. It's an honest release of a true emotion. So both are a very honest release of a true emotion.
Yeah.
Or something that's being held within ourselves that we aren't letting out.
Oof.
And so they're very similar in that way. And I think people go to the dance floor to heal emotionally for that reason. And people cry. Like when you get off the dance floor and you get out of a good cry, it's a very similar feeling of being renewed.
Yes.
So it's basically like, this is about shedding the layers.
There's like an opening that happens.
Exactly. It's like providing this template, this dance template, for you to feel safe to shed your layers. It's like it's allowing you to be vulnerable on the dance floor.
Can I play a little bit of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
please. Which one are you gonna play?
Well, I was gonna play Dancing and Crying.
Oh yeah. This is
The
like
first single.
This is the curtain opener. I know.
Because that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Some say you can never have what they gon' imagine. Some say you can never go what they gon' happen. Baby, we're gonna go you never could imagine. You never could imagine. You ready for it? Sometimes you just have to go where nobody can go. Lose yourself, lose control. When you get there, you'll stop.
These lyrics are deep.
You can talk with your body, you can dance with your soul. I can feel you crying. That's the start of the show. Let your feelings drop down low, then come back to the front row. It's time that we prepare for where we're about to go. Yeah, tonight it's getting emotional, and when you lose yourself, so get lose control. We will all get out alive, but we'll never be the same. What we're losing, we'll be fighting, 'cause we're dancing now.
This is cool. I like the second verse.
Come on, baby, here's what you know. Sometimes you just have to go where nobody can go. Lose yourself, lose control.
Yeah.
Your story, your story.
It's awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that really well explains the vibe.
Sometimes you have to go where nobody can go.
Lose yourself, lose control. When you get there, you'll just know it. You'll just know.
And in verse 1, you can talk with your body.
You can dance with your soul. I can feel that you're crying. That's the start of the show. Let your feelings drop down low, then come back to the front row. It's time that we prepare for where we're about to go. Tonight it's getting emotional. When you lose yourself, it's okay to lose control. We'll all get out alive, but we'll never be the same. What you're losing, you'll be finding, because we're dancing and we're crying.
Those are my favorite lyrics right there.
Thank you.
We will all get out alive, but we'll never be the same. And then the next one, what you're losing, you'll be finding. Can you explain that?
It's really not meant to be explained.
Yeah.
A lot of this is it is for you to interpret within yourself. It's like it's in the direction of like when you let things go, you actually receive what you're looking for.
Yes.
You might think you already have it, but you know when you don't, when things are missing. But you have to let that go as well. You have to let go of even just the knowing that something's not there. You have to forget that as well, and then you receive.
How many times do we like want something or want someone, and then we finally just like let it go, and we're like, okay, I'm never gonna have that. It's never gonna happen, and then that's when it comes to you.
Exactly.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
We just have to let go of everything, honestly, because we'll move to we'll move in the direction of our purpose always, as long as our thoughts are out of the way.
Yeah.
So our thoughts are like really there to help us navigate like the physical reality. It's like, there's a car coming, step back, you know, don't jump off that cliff.
Yeah.
That stove is hot.
Yeah.
This person, you know, keep an eye on them.
Danger.
Like, might be dangerous. Like, yeah, like it's there to really help you get through this reality and stay in it, because it's sort of like if you were to like, I've been talking, I guess I am very metaphorical. Like metaphors get me through life, basically.
Okay.
So I have a few that have been very present, and like I keep thinking of a labyrinth a lot lately. But if you were to look at life, because if you know, life is not a straight line, we all know that, and I think that's been kind of agreed on by the masses at this point, right? We're always pulling from our past into the future, and so if you look at life, if life isn't a straight line and we don't know where we're going, it's very much like a labyrinth. Actually, it's like a maze. But you can't get through a maze by knowing the maze. So the moment you think you know the maze, it makes it harder to get through, because you don't.
That's interesting.
So you have to release the sense of knowing where you're going to actually find where you need to go, and then
wow.
To discover anything.
And it's a lot of trial and error too, because you're going to take wrong turns and have to turn back and try a different way.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the way.
Exactly.
But you're finding it as you go.
And you have to be in that sense of like, oh, that's the wrong way. Let's go this way. Let's go that way. Let's go that way. And you have to be scanning your environment. You have to be very present to also get through this maze as well. And to discover, you cannot discover in the known. You have to go into the unknown to discover anything. And so you have to go forth into a fog of confusion to find what you're looking for. And confusion scares a lot of us, that sensation. But if you can get really comfortable with that feeling, it opens you up in a way that you actually receive more information. But then I was thinking, okay, well, if life is a maze, but there's no visible maze around us, what are the walls? And what are the corridors like that we can, where is the space that we can move through?
Okay. And
what really came to me was that like physical reality is the walls.
Okay.
Everything that we experience in this reality is a wall.
Okay.
That we're bouncing off of, that leads us into the empty space, which is the journey. through the maze. But it's in the space. The journey is in the empty space. It's in the emptiness. This is a wall.
Yeah.
It's bouncing us off into a direction internally. Like, if anything I've said or you've said makes us feel different, feel like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes me connect to something within myself, that's sending you in that direction
Yeah.
within yourself, through that empty
Ooh,
space,
wow.
forward through this labyrinth. And the labyrinth is within the space. So
Wow.
this reality is really, it's just full of these walls that are sending us in the right direction through our little maze. And I was talking to someone else about this. I have a friend who's a really amazing painter, but she was part of this group, and I don't know much about it, but all I know is that they blindfold themselves and they have to go through a labyrinth blindfolded and try to get to the center of the maze. And a lot of people struggle and a lot of people can't do it. She is just incredible at it. She can, every time she can do it, and she can do it really fast.
Huh.
But it has to do with the fact that she doesn't know where she's going and she's okay with it.
Mm.
So it's just, even through a real maze.
And she's probably more present that way. Because
Yeah.
if she doesn't know where she's going, she's okay. Like what I think is then she's not panicking. There's no anxiety. She's able to actually be present and be more observant. Whereas someone else might be in their head more, all the anxiety, and then they're missing all the cues of like where they should be going.
I think that's it, because she's a
Yeah.
very calm being.
Okay.
Very, very connected, calm being as it is. But it's like, I was like, well, how can somebody be really good at going through a maze blindfolded and another person can't?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, is that a skill? But I really think we all know where we're going. We just have to trust ourselves to guide us through.
Yeah.
I had a neurologist. I love that even neurology is getting into the like existential conversations, because the more people find out about the physical body, the more that they actually go into the unknown themselves.
Yes.
Sorry, I had this matcha latte coming up as I talk. Air bubbles. Okay, yeah. So I was at a brain conference. There's the largest neural mapping center in the world is being built right now in California.
Okay.
Which is really cool, because it's going to really like further the understanding of the brain. But there's a neurologist who was like, I was talking to about just about everything, my symptoms and stuff, and then we got into this crazy
Is Dr.
conversation.
Amen part of it?
Dr. Amen, I know.
Okay.
Personally,
But
he's
he's not part of
amazing.
this.
He wasn't at this event that
Okay.
day. I'm sure he's in
Part
the
of it.
same boat.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
But one of them said, and I never heard anything like this from a neurologist, but they're like, we are in some sort of a simulation. Like, we're figuring this out. Like, there is some sort of a simulation. So hearing a neurologist say this is wild, right?
That is wild. Yeah.
But they believe that we because we're all part of the same program, the same DNA, we actually, if it's like, if you have a little light on in a dark room and you can just see this one section, if you just turn all the lights on, you can see everything.
Yeah.
If you think of us as just this one little beam of light pointing at this one little thing, if you were to just turn all the lights on, we actually know everything about everything. We actually would know a maze that we've been put into, because we actually are connected to this whole program that we're
Yeah.
in.
Okay.
So they're like, if you can actually like turn the lights on, you actually will know everything. You know where you are, you know the streets, you know every direction. This is
Yeah.
this is like a PhD neurologist with their ideas talking. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting perspective. We already know, like, in theory, I could know where you work without you telling me.
Okay.
If I was connected enough. And I was reading this book called it's a really good book. It's called Da Vinci's Brain.
Okay.
I'm right and left-handed, both, and that's like it's like a rare thing. And I also am a mirror writer, which is also very rare. So I write reversed with my left hand.
Okay. Wow.
It's sort of a need. It's sort of feels weird if I don't do it that way. Anyway, so I was looking up other people who are mirror writers, and there's been a few, but not like, but Da Vinci was like the most famous. And so I was like, let me like read about his brain. And there was a book called Da Vinci's Brain, and I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody just is more of like somebody's ideas, but he did so much research on him, and I didn't realize he invented pretty much everything in existence today. It's wild. He literally invented everything. But
Yeah. Tanks.
the
all kinds
maps he drew, the maps he drew with accuracy, when you really look at them, you would have had to be higher than a satellite to see what he drew. And they're like, it's impossible that he drew them like that. Because you'd have to be like higher than a satellite that we have right now. So then it went into this like, well, we think he was remote viewing, basically astral projecting himself around the world.
Okay.
He was even drawing buildings in other places that he could not have gotten to that were accurate. Like weird stuff like that has been documented. And they're like, well, how did he do that? So there's these like, I don't know how that works. I don't know how to astral project in remote view, but apparently the CIA do it. So like, kind of like in this place now where I'm like, let me look into some of this stuff. Yeah, are we in this weird metaverse? Is there like, I always like the cheat codes, you know, when I go on a game, The Sims, Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
I don't like to always play it with the cheat codes, but I like to have access to them in case, you know, that impulse control side of me is just like, I want to take over, or I want to breed unicorns faster in the case of The Sims with the pet add-on. I don't play that anymore. I had to stop. But I don't know, like, where are the cheat codes in this life? If it is a simulation, they're there.
Yeah.
How do we astral project? In our next podcast, we will astral project.
You have to come back with your research and your your
Once I pull it off, I'll come back. I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, you have to come back and tell us how it goes.
We'll see. I mean, I could be completely wrong and it's all bogus and maybe it's not there, but we'll find out. I'll let you know as well if it didn't happen.
Okay. What about the other songs on this?
Yeah. I back on track.
Yeah.
It's funny whenever I have conversations, I always like get on the phone with my manager later and she's like, hey, just if you want to talk about the music, feel free.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have so many, I love going off on tangents. But yeah, okay, next song.
Yeah.
Heaven Ain't Calling.
This is one of my favorites.
Yay.
Yeah. And so do you want to set it up at all?
Yeah, so Heaven Ain't Calling and Dancing and Crying were actually written on the same day.
Okay.
And that was my first session with Sugar Jesus, who was a producer.
Yep.
And actually, I worked with him because his name was Sugar Jesus. I didn't know his music. I didn't know anything about him. And I actually didn't want to hear the music. I just wanted to go in blind because I was like, who is Sugar Jesus and who names themselves that? So, those were the songs as a result of this spontaneous session, moving into the unknown, as you know.
Okay.
And I loved that session so much that I, on a whim, just kind of called him up and was like, hey, would you be interested in making an album with me? And then the album turned into just a never-ending project.
And now you're close friends, I read.
Really close friends. I honestly usually become really close friends with everyone I work with. Because we become so connected through the art. And to even just write music like this, you have to go so deep that you end up connecting in a really deep way, and you just become really good friends.
You did the collaborations with Chris Melanchek, you guys.
Yes.
That's actually like when you first popped back on my radar before you came on the show in 2020. I was on the beach in Malibu. I was tripping on acid. And I'm laying on the sand and just listening to like a Spotify playlist, right? And one of your songs with Chris came on, and it was I don't know those. I can't go back, gonna don't go back to
I
can't go back
because there's no way back from here. I can't go back because there's no way back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Who is this? And then I saw it was you. I was like, Kiesza, oh my God, I love this.
We have written over 100 songs together. We just haven't put them out.
Wow.
You're like, why? Great question. He's one of my best friends, Chris.
Yeah.
He was the most important person in my recovery, actually, which is a weird thing to say, but some people just got it and others didn't, because I had an invisible injury.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Chris got it the most, and he was there for me in so many ways. And like, he's the reason that I was able to start going back to music, because I'd go to his house and he'd like prepare a room knowing that I was going to sleep most of the time. But if I had one window, even 10 minutes, that I was like, I'm feeling like I can do something, he had the machine on, it was ready to go. I'd just go up to the studio, I'd write for like 10 minutes, and then my brain would shut down and I'd go back to sleep.
Wow. And he's like a savant on the piano, right?
He has so many qualities that no one will ever know about that are amazing.
Yeah.
He is a piano savant for sure. He can hear anything and just play it back on the piano. But he's like a really good person.
I've heard.
He's really good. He likes to stay away from, I think, society, because there's just a lot that isn't good around. There's so much that is just disconnected, and he's so connected.
Yeah.
He's so connected to nature. He's nurturing plants and animals, and he lives in the wilderness, and like he is so connected to the whole that this whole concept of reality doesn't make sense to him, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't make sense, and he's somebody who is really connected to what does make sense. And so in his presence, it's quite healing. I've never ever been in his presence with him ever picking up the phone. I've never hung out with him with a phone in his hand. He does his phone as a completely separate thing. Like his life does not involve anything digital. It's all like, okay, in the schedule I need to like do something like that, or I have like a scheduled call that's like very specific, but he never thinks to look at a phone. So it's he's a magical being. I was just with him the other day, like last week actually. But we have a bunch of music, and we were like talking, because honestly the experience of making that music is so amazing that it almost fulfills itself, and we almost don't even feel the need to put it out.
I see.
You know, it's it's weird.
You don't have to put everything out.
But we it's like we do have a lot of amazing stuff, and we are going to put some more of it out. Did you hear Tree?
No.
We put it out under the radar. We kind of just like boop, put it out, and people find it. Tree is about a tree that really became my friend.
Oh, really?
It was this tree that for some reason when I put my back up against this tree and like went near this tree, I felt like it was literally like knew what was going on and would heal me. It would like send me energy, and I would just soak up the tree, and then I actually researched, and I found that indigenous people would actually do that to charge their bodies up. So trees do actually give us energy.
Wow.
And this tree
I love hugging trees.
Yeah, this tree in particular was like, hey, I got a lot to give to you. And
do you want me to play a little bit of it? Before we play Heaven Ain't Calling?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, so we have like, there's Chris Malin, Jack Kiesza, and then we made a name together called Malin Kai. Okay. That is our secret unraveling project together, if we ever put stuff out.
I'm a therapist who goes to therapy.
got a commercial
And some
here.
people think that's strange. The thing is, though, therapists are human beings.
No, we'll go through.
Dance. Somehow you and me know how to dance. In between the lines we find our chance. Touch the sky and take me if you can. I will only be here while I am. I am only a human. What could I know of you then? You're always standing in my place, touching every inch of space. I can't stop moving. That's why I always stay the same. Always believing that I've changed.
Thank you. Yeah. A lot of this was written through my recovery, and most of the music that we've made together was actually written because I only knew him 6 months before I actually got in the crash. So our whole relationship to music, minus a few earlier songs, which don't even feel like us anymore. They were all written during my recovery.
Wow.
So this was all in this like confusing connection to trying to connect to reality and myself and understand like nature.
There's something so magical between the two of you. What
Thank
you
you.
make together, the sonically, lyrically, melodically, the effects on your voice, the chords that he uses, all of it. It's so good.
I think it's just that healing energy that he has, and it's always surrounding us when we're together. I think it actually goes into the music.
It comes through, yeah.
Because I always feel healed when I hear that music.
Yeah.
even. Yeah. So there's more coming from us, I promise.
Okay.
And then back to the
Yeah. So Heaven Ain't Calling. Why? What's the
Calling.
title mean? Heaven Ain't Calling.
Well, I mean, it means different things, and especially to different people, the way you look at it. But for me, it was like I've been through so many different experiences where I've been faced with the concept of death losing my best friend, being in a car crash, being in a reality that I didn't want, being with a condition called suicide headaches, that are just so painful that it's almost not worth living. And I had to think about, why am I still here with all of this pain? Why am I still staying here? Like, what is it in myself that wants to still be here and endure what I endure? And it's just that for some reason I'm not ready. Heaven ain't calling me yet,
Wow. Okay.
I've been down this road before and I don't know what to do. I've made the same mistakes, and Lord, I can't help myself. It's true. When we go all night, forget everything we do. I've been down this road before, and tonight I'm taking you. You could look at it so many different ways, because that rolled off my tongue very effortlessly. It wasn't like I wasn't thinking about every lyric. It just kind of came out. But I am trying to take people on the journey that I've been through without having to go through the pain of it. And I realized that you can't do that. Like with the students, in a very, very quickly, I was able to connect them to themselves in a deep way that as long as I'm connected, and in this moment I have the desire to give it to them, I can find that window. So what I went through was so painful. I would never wish that upon anyone to have to go through. But the growth that came out of it was incredible.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we don't have to go through that to experience that kind of growth. And I just think we need people around us that just help us connect to that side of ourselves. So it's like, I've been down this road before, and tonight I'm taking you. Let's get it. At the same time, I have a friend around the time I wrote that song, who was just, he's so different, and he has always struggled with that. But what makes him so different is what makes him so amazing. And I think being in the eye of our own storm, we don't always realize how incredible we are, because we feel so isolated and alone being so different.
Yeah.
But he also is surrounded by a lot of people who are weird and different like that too. And he once said, I don't know if I'm going to go to heaven. According to biblically, I don't think I'm going to heaven. But if I'm not going to heaven, I want to go where all my cool friends are going. Where are they going? If they're not, they're not going to heaven, I don't want to go there anyways. I want to go where my friends are going.
Wow.
And I was like, so maybe that to him, that might mean heaven ain't calling me, because I want to go to wherever else.
Yeah.
What other options there are that hold all this weird kids, it can mean so many different things, and I like that about it. And sometimes, like Hideaway was a roll off the tongue song. This was a roll off the tongue. It just kind of wrote itself.
Yeah.
There's often a lot of layers and a lot of meaning for other people to tap into with themselves. So I think
I'm gonna play a little bit of it.
Yeah,
and we'll
please.
see what.
I've been down this road before and I don't know what to do. I've made my same mistakes and Lord, I can't help myself, it's true. We go all night, forget everything I do. I've been down this road before and tonight I'm taking you. Let's get it.
Yeah, I like this one. This is a good one.
This is like, get on the dance floor now. It's like, here's your space that you can walk from the bar to the dance floor in style, and drop it.
I've been down this road before and I don't know what to do. I've made my same mistakes and Lord, I can't help myself, it's true. We go all night, forget everything I knew. I've been down this road before, tonight I'm taking you. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, hit all the right shit.
I love this.
The party in a red lipstick, spend all the money till they got nothing. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Tight shirt, tight jeans, so mean. Everybody looking at the dance queen. She looking at you, how you know that you
I'm gonna play this in my set.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's true. Heaven ain't calling me. Heaven ain't calling me. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Heaven ain't calling me. Heaven ain't calling me. I've been down this road before and I don't know what to do. I made the same mistakes and thought I can't help myself, it's true. We go all night, forget everything I knew.
Bringing in the banjo.
Is it coming?
Let's get
Here.
it. Let's get it. I'll take you. Let's get it. Yeah.
This is giving me like Bob Moses vibes.
Oh, nice.
You know?
I never got that yet. That's the first, but I get it.
Yeah. 4, 5, 6, hit
Very,
all
like,
the right
soulful.
shit.
Yeah.
The party in a red lipstick, spend all the money till they
Well,
got
yeah.
But this side of me, it's actually got a lot of yin and yang in it. It's got my like soulful deep side, and it's got this like just me who like loves to dress up in high fashion and go to the dance floor and like, get cool. Like it's like when I'm just like feeling cool. 4, 5, 6, 8, all the right shit, showing up the party. Like that's a side. Like you don't always have to be going so deep. You can be by choice, just like I want to dress up, I want to feel good, I want to look good, I want to go dance. You know, I'm feeling myself right now. Let's do this.
Yeah,
you know? That's got that element to it as well. And it's such a simple song. We even tried to write a second verse, and we're just like, it sounds better at the first verse twice. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Heaven Ain't Calling, and that one's a Sugar Jesus and Kiesza collab, because that was one of the first ones we did, and at the time we hadn't like decided on the album, and he was like, well, why don't you take Dancing and Crying, I'll do Heaven. And I was like, Sugar, this is a Kiesza song, like, but let's do it together, like you know, like I'm always like, yeah, if you feel that way, let's just do it like as a collab, and he ended up producing the whole project. So
you're like, honey, this is the Kiesza's record. Like,
I wanted to do a whole project with actually no features, because I was like really connecting with my soul and bringing so many sides of myself together. I was like featuring on this whole project a side of myself that I've never shown the world, except for in those Chris Malinchek songs. Yeah. So it was kind of like Kiesza featuring Kiesza. But Sugar, it was actually Sugar featuring Sugar Jesus too, because he's producing everything. So I was like, we'll make you the one exception to this project.
I love the vibe on that.
Thank you.
What else?
To I Go Dance.
What you want to go?
I Go Dance.
You want to go right into it?
It's up to you. I don't know where our time's at, but if we can take all the time we want.
What would you like to highlight on this album?
All of them. Well, here's the thing. I wrote like the whole direction, that like the whole choice behind every song is that I want it to be my favorite song. So every song is my favorite song. It's just in a different, like it's just in a different way. I mean, I love all the I Go Dance is a great dance song. The Mysterious Disappearance of At a Place is featuring my friend Clay as a poet. Yeah. Which you've heard that one, right?
Yeah.
The poem at the beginning.
Let's talk about that one.
I was dinosaur digging in Wyoming, and my friend Ben he owns a museum, so he knows all these cool people, among them people who dinosaur dig for a living. And so we were invited to the dig and got so into it, we kept going back, and we always stayed with this Airbnb host that we love named Clay. And Clay is a historian, and every time we go there, he tells us a new story about the outlaws in the Badlands, or not, the outlaws in the, I guess, I don't know if you call them Badlands out in Wyoming, but like the desert kind of red hills. They call it the hole in the wall, where all these like outlaws would hide in these hills. So he actually walked us through the hills, showed us the actual like remains of the cabins they lived in, and we got really connected to these bank robbers and outlaws and their stories. And he knew so much about them. So there was this girl named Etta Place, and she was the lover of the Sundance Kid who rode and robbed banks with Butch Cassidy. And when they were shot down, Etta Place went missing. And everyone's like, nobody knows what happened to her. And I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, that's because you're just not remembering that a woman is an outlaw, too. And that girl ran with the gold. They just robbed 5 banks. I'm sure she was just like...
She pieced out. Yeah.
She was probably like back home guarding all the money and was like, oh, shit. Yeah. They're dead. All right. I'll just take all of this. So, you know, nobody really knows her story, but later photos did emerge that it's low-key her. Wow. Started a whole new life. Probably took all that money and just started a whole new life somewhere else and became a different person. So I was like, I want to write about her. And so that's the song. That's the Mysterious Disappearance of At a Place, Running with the Gold. Yeah. So that's the part where it's like, but the devil can't touch my gold. Yeah. I mean, again, it taps into like the fact that her lover had just been shot to death. So you'd be in this weird emotional state running with the gold, but also trying to process the fact that the person you love has just been shot dead, and the cops, everyone's coming after you right now. So you're like, the chorus, where do you go when you die? I don't know, whether heaven or hell takes us home. Because she's obviously like on the bad side of the law. Where do you go when you die? I don't know. I just know we all go out alone. But the devil can't touch my gold. Wow. That one. I love that song. I love singing. I could sing it. I'm like looking at the guitar there. Like I actually haven't practiced it, but
do you want to try it?
It's only 3 chords. I could probably do like a version.
Oh, we would love that.
The very Very unrehearsed.
Let's move that down by the guitar. Oh, this is so fun! Yay!
This is like the version where I'm still.
This is
figuring
totally
out.
Unscripted. This is Adobe's guitar.
Will that actually pick it up?
Oh yeah. It's all of these mics are on separate audio files, so we'll be able to adjust the levels afterwards.
All right, don't judge me on my.
Oh, I'm so
My guitar
excited! Yay!
Give me a second to just
Yeah,
make sure. Oh man.
I'm excited.
Down dusty roads and red hills on the rise, with rivals cocked bandanas on the rise. A pair of thieves came riding in the dark, and they both went down with bullets in the heart. And so I told one left a girl behind. I knew I had to disappear that night, and I swear to you I rode the speed of light with my eyes cold tears and one thing on my mind. Where'd you go when you die? I don't know whether heaven or hell takes us home. Where'd you go when you die? I don't know. I just know we all go out alone. Oh, but the devil can't touch my gold. Oh, I just know we all go out alone.
Want me to keep going?
Hell yeah! Go, please.
The moon will rise, the sun will dance away. I dug an empty grave and wrote my name. You never do go back from where you came when you've lived a life of fire and of rain. Where'd you go when you die? I don't know whether heaven or hell takes us home. Where'd you go when you die? I don't know. I just know we all go out alone. But the devil can't touch my gold. No, 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 no. I just know we all go out alone. I just know we all go out alone. But the devil can't touch my gold.
Oh my god!
There you go. You got actually the first.
Crying emoji. Crying
Really, you got the
emoji.
first ever performance, even with myself,
Wow.
of that song.
That was not planned. That was we had we had no dress rehearsal, no sound check. That's
That
not
was-
even your guitar.
Yeah, that was really unplanned, but
No
it is
no
only-
effects on the vocal, like totally dry, and you sounded beautiful.
I don't even know that it was in the right key because I just picked it up so fast. I wasn't really checking.
That song
So-
is gorgeous too.
thank you.
It's like haunting, and my favorite lyric is, "We all go out alone."
We all go
It's
out
like,
alone.
oof, yes, that's
That is
true.
the weirdest thing about death
Yeah.
is that we do go out alone and we don't know where we're going, and we're here. We're at least have each other,
Yeah.
but as much as we think we know or believe or think we know what we believe, we don't know where we're going until we get there.
Mhm.
So, and that's when you start losing friends and experience death, you start thinking about that a lot. Like, where do we go?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've lost people, and it's definitely.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's something we all go through.
It's important, though. It's really important to come to terms with our mortality, because when you accept it, it really does enhance your life. You're like, when you know, it's like a flower. It's just like when you really fully experience the flower while it's there, because you know it's not going to last very long. And there's something really beautiful about the fact that we don't live forever.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly like a gift in a way, because like I had an ex-boyfriend who he committed suicide.
Oh,
and
I'm so sorry.
Before that happened, I lived my whole life being a musician, but I wasn't pursuing music at all. I was like corporate job, New York, like not doing music at all. And then when he died, it was like a wake up call. I also was not spiritual. Like I had like lost my faith.
Yeah.
Because I was raised Catholic and I'm gay, and there was, all that whole thing.
Yeah.
So like I didn't believe in anything. I wasn't doing music, and then he died, and it was like a doorway, an opening into. I reconnected spiritually. I decided to learn how to DJ, and I went full steam into the music direction. But it's a gift, sad as it is. Like it was a gift that he gave me.
It was a gift he gave you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird how like death will wake you up and sometimes even snap you out of some fantasy. Like, I don't know, when I lose people, it kind of like wakes me up to reality for a moment. When my best friend passed away, I just had never experienced anything like that before, and I didn't even know I was living in this reality that we don't die, that we're gonna be here. Like especially when you're young in your 20s, you don't think you're ever gonna get old, but or be gone in an instant. And when my friend just was like, the cancer hit her so quickly, and she was just in a matter of months just gone.
Wow.
And it really woke me up to the fact that like I might not have time. And then I got in a car crash, and it was like a second smack in the face. Like, it could be you, it's like you think, okay, it happened to my friend, but maybe it won't happen to me. Well, it almost did.
Yeah.
That woke me up a lot. And then I was like, wow, every moment is so important. And I don't want to be stressed going through life being like mad at people, because I don't know how much time I have, and if my time is limited, I want to make it as best as I possibly can. And if I'm going through pain or any of that, I want to, and this is what actually led into Dancing and Crying, was the fact that I needed to create a reality that was so opposite of the pain that I'm in that it was worth it. It was worth it. It almost made it all go away. And so that meant having the strongest relationships with friends, and being honest and accountable, and doing things that were fun, and making sure the journey was the best part of everything, so that if this was the last thing I ever did, I'd look back on it and being, if I'm not able to, like, once I put it out into the world, if let's say I'm not there for it, at least the creation of it was just as good. And honestly, it's the best part. Like, it's just changed my whole perspective on life.
Wow.
Everyone in the music videos are just friends of mine or friends of friends, and we've just been having the time of our lives. There's radio theater shows. Have you heard the radio theater shows?
No.
So between every music video, I'm voiceover acting with my friends. Okay. The characters in the music video.
Okay.
And I mean, we're not like making scripts and editing them. My friend Gary, who's just phenomenal, will like do one draft and we'll be like, great, let's voiceover act it. And then as we're like doing it, we're like, oh, a quick edit here and there. But like, it's all just very spur of the moment fun. Okay. And like, my friend Ben jumped in now, and other people, who knows, maybe I'll have a podcast of just radio theater, and I'll just feature people as characters in this ongoing, never-ending narrative that just writes itself. But so if you want to really dive into this project, Dancing and Crying, it's not just music, it's music, and then there's a narrative series of music videos. Okay. But between all the videos, there's radio theater productions of voiceover acting the characters that are in these music videos. So it's like a whole world.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Like, well, it's coming to the release of the project, and we're kind of like, well, we don't want to stop voiceover acting, so why don't we just keep the story going, and then whenever the next one comes out, we'll just pick up from there.
That's so fun. I love that.
Yeah. You got a feature on it as a character.
Okay. Yeah. I'm totally down.
Yeah.
So I want to invite everyone to check out your album, Dancing and Crying Volume 1.
Yeah, and the whole thing is released on May 24th, which is so exciting because it's this month.
Yeah.
And so we got Strangers and Go Back coming out, and At a Place, which I just played, it's the first time I've ever like put out in the world my folk hybrid with dance music. So that's like the beginning of this.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like open Pandora's box. But
Yeah.
the next song to follow is one of those as well.
Okay.
It's Strangers, which is like very much guitar based, turned into a dance song. And then Go Back is like the folkiest of the whole project.
Okay.
And those are lyrics that I like to not even talk about.
Okay.
They're in a weird way confusing on purpose.
Yeah.
They're meant to like.
That's why I asked your team to send me the lyrics, because I wasn't quite sure some of the songs exactly what they were about. So I have them here, but yeah, I love that. I love that it's purposely up for interpretation.
They're dancing around a concept, but
Yeah.
it's to do with our own personal journeys, and
Yeah.
mine is very different than yours, and
Yeah.
different than everyone else's. But we're kind of all hovering around this center, underneath all the layers of ourselves. The true expression of ourselves has no form, has no, there are no layers to it. And so if we can just go back to this source that drives us, that is us before, it's like the seed, it's like the egg.
Yeah.
If we can go back to that source and unfold completely from this pure sort of untainted, it hasn't collapsed into any form yet. It's always in us. It's always driving us. If we go to there and we create from there, it's always this pure creation that comes out of it. And that's somewhat that's like a little thing I'll give you. You see the egg I see on a picture.
Yeah.
So you see the egg, the disco ball egg.
This is the cover?
The egg is coming.
Oh.
Egg is always there.
Wow.
But it is, as much as it is this fun little sci-fi egg and the story that from the 1930s of this weird, wacky adventure, it's all hovering around the same thing, and that is self-connection with yourself and unfolding from your source. And and not trying to like think your way through anything, and to just trust you.
When you do nothing, you do the right thing.
Yeah, you just will.
Yeah.
You just will, and it's fun to try it, because it's hard to do nothing. Because even when we think we're doing nothing, we're like thinking about what we should be doing, or we're thinking about doing nothing. When you get into that, it's weird, because like
It's a stillness.
You'll do something, but you'll do it unconsciously. You'll just move, and suddenly you're like, oh, I just did that. Wait, that wasn't me. I didn't think to do that. You just do it. And then it's this like wave of trying to like get to do that, and also we snap back into our ego a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just, it becomes an actual battle between the ego and the lack of ego, and that's its own relationship that we have. And I have a whole other next time podcast. We'll go into like my theory on the ego.
Yeah, I feel like I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
we should end here, but this
we can do a part 2.
Oh hell yeah, we should. Yeah.
I mean, you actually live so close to where I live, or you work.
Yeah, I live in Hollywood, and right now we're in North Hollywood.
I can pop over anytime.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, and
on
I'll
the
have you as a
show.
guest feature on the first like guest feature on my radio
Yeah.
theater show. So you'll be playing someone other than yourself.
That would be. I'm
you.
so down. I'm so down. That would be so fun.
Amazing. Woo.
This was such a pleasure. Loved having you on the
Likewise.
show.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. I'll see you again soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time on Life Rhythms.